Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Matt and John Make a Podcast. This is episode 28 of the podcast. We have many things to discuss today. We had the opening of the XFL. Matt and I will give you our general thoughts on the opening weekend. We are going to touch on John Jones' recent victory last weekend over Anthony Reyes, some hockey news, and as well in the world of wrestling. But Matt, I have a question for you. If you were to look up PR Nightmare within the last week, what is the first thing that comes into your mind?
A little team called the Houston Astros.
Oh my God, you would think that a big organization like the Houston Astros would know how to handle themselves better after they've been convicted essentially by Major League Baseball of them cheating, and from what their owner said, and what Jose Altuve and Alex Bregman said, who I believe spoke for a total of what 2 minutes. In their prepared opening statements, and I believe that the Houston Astros owner's name is Jim Craig, right, or something like that.
I don't know.
But he basically came out the other day and said that the cheating didn't help them win games. What?
That cheating. We cheated.
Yeah.
But it didn't help.
Yeah, supposedly he was under the impression that, oh yeah, we definitely cheated, but it didn't help them win games because that makes a lot of sense. And now you're seeing a lot of current baseball players just coming out just criticizing the Houston Astros. I know I think it was Cody Bellinger of the LA Dodgers came out was yesterday or something, and basically just criticized Major League Baseball for essentially going soft on the Houston Astros players, because basically he felt that it was wrong that they were granted immunity and they were essentially not even punished for giving Major League Baseball information, which he does have a valid point. And I mean, I can only imagine what things are going to be like when this team goes out on the road to, say, LA or
anywhere,
or in freaking New York. Can you imagine how hostile that's going to be once they go over there? Good God, I mean, you can make the argument that guys like Jose Altuve stole the AL MVP and very well could have stolen a few World Series rings too. So, it's a very fluid situation, to say the least. And I mean, it's definitely going to take some time for this thing to eventually blow over. But the Houston Astros and the players did not do themselves any favors by saying what they said. Matt, what do you have to add to this?
Didn't really watch the press conference, but
it was funny.
Yeah, it's going to be a long year for Houston.
Mm-hmm.
After you admit that you're cheating, they found that you're cheating.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be those players, those coaches, because, man, the chance at that team is just going to be brutal.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the story the whole year.
I
no matter what they do, it's going to be, maybe they cheated. I
definitely feel that for Houston Astros games, ratings are going to be increased for those games. I mean, there's going to be sense of curiosity with those games and how the reaction is going to be. It's kind of similar to with like Barry Bonds and how, like, you know, with the whole steroid cloud was hovering above him, and just every visiting park that he went to, he was getting every cat call that you could think of.
Same thing with Ryan Braun.
Also throw in there Rafael Palmeiro when he got busted. Alex Rodriguez. I mean, like there's a lot of guys in, but instead of it being a singular player, we're talking about a whole team here. So that's the interesting thing in all of this. And I'm not. It's just like, man, like what a PR disaster. Like basically how you should handle a situation like what the Astros did. Do the direct opposite of that, and you'll give yourselves a good chance to not make things 10 times worse like they did the past few days here. So with that, we're going to move on here. Matt, did you catch any of the XFL last weekend?
Yes, I try to catch every game.
Yeah, so my initial thoughts were I was pleasantly surprised how good for the most part that these games were. Like I definitely felt that the Saturday games were definitely better than the Sunday games. I was disappointed that Landry Jones didn't play, but supposedly he is going to be playing this weekend, and I believe I believe his game is tomorrow, and that's in LA, I believe. So I have a very vested interest in that, but it was cool seeing guys like seeing former Steelers such as Eli Rogers. He is with the DC Defenders, I believe. He looked good. It just like you can tell that they made a lot of the corrections that needed to be made compared to the last time around with the XFL. Like it doesn't feel gimmicky at all. It feels like football. And another thing, and something that I think that the NFL should definitely adopt, that is definitely that kickoff that they have. Like that pretty much eliminates any sort of like dangerous collision play, because honestly I felt like that the NFL was probably going towards the direction of just getting rid of kickoffs all together. But now
you can't do that.
But now with what the XFL did, I definitely feel that this is going to be universal, just because it's completely safe, and while at the same time you're still keeping the integrity of that play there,
right,
and just eliminating that freaking head-on collision that has been a big problem, and why the NFL has tried tinkering with the kickoff. But what the XFL presented was absolutely a brilliant idea, and something that I definitely feel should be adopted by the NFL.
I mean, the first time around, the XFL brought in the Skycam and all that stuff, if I'm not mistaken, that the NFL
sure did
adopted. Another thing I like is the extra point attempts.
Absolutely.
1 point, there's no field goals. 1 point from the 2 points from the 5, and 3 points from the 10, I believe.
Yep, that's correct.
So there's a lot more strategy involved, instead of just, go for 1 or go for 2.
And another thing, I'm not sure if you saw with like punts, it doesn't happen too often, because supposedly if you kick the ball out of the end zone, the ball is on a 35. But if you punt it and it goes out of balance, the ball gets sent on the 35. So it's basically making teams want to go for, making teams to incentivize to want to go for it more, which I think are really interesting rules that, to be quite frank, I think is going to be really good for the league. Now, I mean, like, it's going to be a question, like, can the XFL maintain that same interest for the next 9 or 10 weeks? But I believe that the game on ABC between DC, I forget who they faced initially, but that did, I think, like 3.3 million viewers, and supposedly just from a ticket sales perspective, they had already sold more tickets than the AAF did combined from their season last year. So, there's definitely promising things. I hope that this league is sustainable, because I definitely feel like for guys who can't get into the NFL, this is definitely a good league for those other guys to get a chance, because if anything else, it's going to give those guys some more exposure and possibly get into a training camp for the next upcoming season. So, I'm definitely planning on watching, because I'd rather watch a minor league version of the NFL than anything resolving the NBA right now. So I'll gladly watch. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, it was actually not bad games. Everybody's like, oh, it's not the NFL. Well, of course, it's like minor leagues.
Yeah,
it was still entertaining. It was still good.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I liked was the replays are like you're in the booth. You can see what they say.
A lot more access now,
you can see what they're doing. You can hear the coaches and players call plays.
Yeah,
more in depth, and the interviews, like the immediate interviews,
right?
Which could be funny if something bad happens.
Yeah. I definitely feel that they need to definitely tone it down a bit on the interviews a bit. I mean, I get it. It stands out, but like that, I feel like that was the one thing that I wasn't really too crazy about. Like, they need to take it easy on those there. But
I like it something different. It's
but outside of that,
doesn't make it the game's monotonous.
Right. But yeah, a very good opening weekend for the XFL. Definitely planning on watching going forward. All right, so there, Matt, I swear sometimes with the national media, like when that they don't have something to actually talk about, they'll just pull something out of the freaking ass and just talk about something just to piss some people off, and that happened this week. I believe it was on Tuesday or Wednesday when Chris Candy of First Things First, which is a show that airs on Fox Sports 1, basically said that basically the Steelers are praying that Ben Roethlisberger would retire because of his contract, and that he's clearly over the hill, blah blah blah. Which I found hilarious, because clearly he thinks that the Steelers have such a great contingency plans with what we saw from both Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges last year. My question is, or basically what I have to say is, for a franchise quarterback, the freaking going rate is you're paying $30 million per season, and unless your quarterback is on a freaking rookie deal, like that's going to be a going rate. Like even guys such as Derek Carr are like making at least, I think, like $23 or $25 million. So it's like, I mean, that's the rate. I mean, and with the salary cap being at $200 million right now, I mean, and like and from the Steelers' perspective, like, they have a championship defense right now. I don't understand the freaking logic that they would be even pondering the thought of getting rid of our quarterback, especially too with how the team has treated him. So I'm not exactly sure where he got the notion that the Steelers were hoping and praying that Ben was going to retire because man, that is the first time I've ever heard that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like every year, it seems like everybody just somehow craps on Big Ben.
I swear, I swear, like he has, like the freaking the national media hates him for whatever reason.
I don't know why.
I really don't know why.
I don't give him respect. Like they just bring up drama. I was like, how do we go from okay, he's coming back to
oh yeah, and
he might not want to be back. Like,
and you still hear those people like, oh, he's a terrible teammate, even though you get, there's plenty of guys who've come out in support of him, and all of those freaking naysayers point to Antonio Brown as the freaking yeah, he's the guy who's been saying that Ben is a terrible teammate because clearly Antonio Brown is within his freaking marbles here. So it just because I was just looking through Twitter and everything, like every single Steelers beat writer, more specifically Jerry Dulac, really called out that show for basically being stupid and not doing any sort of research or reporting whatsoever, because if they would have done so, they would have known that is complete and utter nonsense. But I don't really want to speak on this anymore, so we will just move on to so before we get into some MMA talk, there was a big trade in the NHL world, and more talking specifically about our team, Matt, and that would be the Pittsburgh Penguins. They have acquired Jason Zucker from the Minnesota Wild for Alex Galchenyuk, Kalen Addison, and a conditional first round pick. Matt, what was your initial thoughts on this deal for the Pens?
I kind of liked it. Galchenyuk, however you say his last name, for whatever reason didn't wasn't live up to expectations.
He's a bust
here.
Yeah. And everywhere else too.
And so getting rid of him and getting Zucker was a good option. Yes, you gave up first round pick and a talented prospect, but let's say that prospect, you don't know if he pans out in the NHL.
I also think with the acquisition of a John Marino, basically made Addison expendable because they already have that guy there, and from what research I did, I mean, Addison was still probably 2 or 3 years away still from being in the NHL, and by then, I mean, guys like Sid and Gino, I believe they'll be 34 or 35 at that point. So it's it's well worth it because the Pittsburgh Penguins are in the business of winning Stanley Cups. They're in win now, and I'm not going to criticize them for wanting to improve this team so that they can win as many Stanley Cups as they can to completely maximize the Sid and Gino era. So and that's exactly what they needed to do with the injuries to Jake Gensel. They really needed another scoring winger, and we saw it tonight, Matt.
Yeah, in person.
In person, he had two big goals, and what led to a Pens 4-1 win over the Canadians. So it's like so far this deal is working out pretty well, and hopefully and so we'll get back at some point this season, or basically that the Pens will advance far enough to where he will be able to actually come back. But I mean, this team is going to be right there. I mean, they lost a pretty hard game against Tampa on Tuesday night, but Tampa is like, between them, the Caps and the Pens are easily the top 3 teams in the East right now. So it's going to be fun. And just I mean, like, it was a typical Rutherford trade for sure.
You could probably add Boston to that.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I mean, but I don't think that the Pens are necessarily done, because I could see them adding another defenseman possibly, but as far as anything else, probably not, because with guys such as Bukestad coming back, Cahoon coming back, Dude Dumoulin and Marino eventually. So it's like Pens, they have like scoring and they have depth, which is going to have them go far in the playoffs. So
we hope.
Yeah, we hope. We shall see how that goes. All right. So Matt, we were at a big UFC card last weekend, and by God, the difference between the Conor fight and any other fight at the casino, holy hell, what a difference.
Oh yes.
Like I actually found a freaking seat as soon as I got there this time. So that was good. But this was essentially a one fight card, similar with the Conor card, except that you know this fight lasted more than 40 seconds. But as far for the co-main event between Valentina Shevchenko and I believe her name was Caitlin. Her name escapes me, but basically Valentina won really easily. I mean, Matt, like, she was just like, some of those shots were brutal, and like you could just see
even close.
It wasn't even close. Like, the whole crowd there was just like oohing and awing, and just like just Valentina is like arguably one of the 2 or 3 best women's fighters in the game right now, right there with girls such as Cyborg and Amanda Nunes. And now, as far as Valentina is concerned, I have no idea what they do with her now, because that women's flyweight division is just an utter joke right now. Like, they have no contenders. So honestly, want to be against them doing a like third fight with her and Amanda again, because without Cyborg, like, Amanda has like no contenders right now, and and that's a big problem right now with the UFC. Is like, they really don't have any big time contenders in their flyweight bantamweight and what's left of their featherweight division right now. So there was that, and then we had John Jones barely scraping by barely scraping by Anthony Reyes. This was a war. Like, I knew going into this fight that this was probably going to be a close fight, because as we have seen with John, he's I don't want to say that he's slowing down, but you could tell it's getting harder for him to try to finish guys. Like Reyes was giving him a lot of problems. Now there has been, I mean, all night the freaking judging was a major issue. From the Eric Lewis fight, that was a problem. There was there was like one or two other fights on the prelims that like, and I recall vividly, Matt, freaking Rogan. He was like look that judge is not even watching the fight. Like it's just like it's definitely one of the bigger issues in MMA, and guys such as like as like Rogan and Dominic Cruz and Brendan Schaub and Big John McCarthy and Josh Thompson have all talked about this, but I don't get the freaking notion that because someone is champion and he's facing a challenger, that challenger has to somehow do 10 times more to win the fight. Rounds 1 should mean as much as like rounds 4 and 5. Like for some reason we've gotten into this thing now where supposedly rounds 4 and 5 mean the absolute most, and rounds 1, 2, and 3 somehow don't even freaking matter. That's like saying, oh, and like football, you know, quarters 1, 2, and 3, they're okay, but who cares? It's quarter 4. That's absolutely the most important quarter whatsoever. Even though even if you're down 40 to 2-8 or something like that. So I don't quite understand that. But the fight itself, I definitely felt that this fight could have been judged either way. I had Reyes winning 48-47. I have no idea where that 49-46 score came from. Like, Matt, some judge had John Jones winning 4 rounds. Explain to me how John won 4 rounds in that fight.
They had money on it. There's no way.
That like, if a logical person watched that fight, because to me the toss up round was definitely round 3. To me, rounds 1 and 2, I think that Anthony Reyes won. Round 3 was the question mark, and after seeing the fight again, people kept on bringing it up. John, he was consistently pressuring. His problem was he wasn't throwing consistently, and that is what a lot of people are bringing up, and that's why a lot of people felt that Anthony Reyes should have been given that decision win, and which is why I think that we're definitely getting a second fight between these guys. It was so close, and if you're Dana, there's really no set number 1 contender. I know that Corey Anderson is fighting is fighting this weekend, and if he wins, I think he might be in line for a title shot. But if I'm Dana, I'm probably doing John versus Reyes one more time. But there's also that option for John to go up to heavyweight, which I think that only happens is if he goes right up against Stipe, which is always a possibility. But it was definitely an excellent fight, but the freaking judging is still a major issue. Matt, any more to add there?
Nope. I won some money.
Yep. I broke even, so
yeah,
I can't complain.
I won some money, but some bets, I think I ended up negative 33 cents.
Well, it could have been worse, though.
Could have been.
So now that time to get into some wrestling talk here, Matt. So apparently Shayna Baszler is now
I don't think so. I don't think she's a vampire.
Is Shayna Baszler a vampire?
No.
Is Shayna Baszler a vampire?
Nope.
Like I did not see this live. I just saw. And
I did.
I just saw.
Did I? No, I did not.
Okay. I just saw a bunch of gifs, and then I rewatched this later on, but yeah. So I'm hoping that was just a like one time thing, and that Shanna is not a vampire, because my God, my God, the sad thing is, man, I can see Vince saying, "Oh man, that is tremendous. That's such good shit. Let's roll with it. I love it." So I'm hoping that is not the case, but Shayna versus Becky is absolutely the right way to go. I'm just glad that we're not getting Charlotte versus Becky 5000. We have a fresh match for Becky, and definitely just I don't know how you don't put the title onto Shayna now, because I believe Becky has been champion now for almost a like full year now. So it's like you're kind of at the point now where you have done everything with Becky that you possibly can, and my concern is with Becky right now, man. It's like I definitely feel that the crowd is cooling on her. I mean, do not get me wrong. She's still pretty over, but as far as what she was at this time last year, it's definitely time for Shayna to basically take that brass ring, as Vince always says. But I'm interested to see where this feud is going to, and also, Matt, that angle that they did with Orton and like Matt Hardy, I thought for certain that this was going to completely write off Matt here, but supposedly, and this was just announced today, or when this podcast airs yesterday, that Orton will be facing Hardy on Raw this upcoming Monday, which I don't really know why they had to do a freaking match here. Like to me, it should have just ended right there, because everyone knows Matt, he is not resigning. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious right now.
Well, even though if he does that, I think you still need to do something with it.
Well, the thing is, though, he did a freaking concerto to Matt, same thing that
I agree
that he did to Edge, which and Edge has been gone ever since. I would have liked for them to just leave it, but supposedly according to I believe Ryan Satin, who reported this today, was basically that the company liked the reaction from that, and supposedly they offered Matt one last deal to resign with the company, and Matt turned it down, supposedly. So basically they felt like that they needed to add some more things to here, so that's why they booked the match for this upcoming Raw. But I would definitely say, Matt, WrestleMania has me interested. There's probably about like 3 or 4 possible matches that I'm cautiously optimistic.
It's looking very interesting.
Yes.
Like we said last time, we have McIntyre versus Lesnar. And you have the 3 women's matches that are all but confirmed.
Essentially. The only one
maybe besides SmackDown.
Yeah, the only one that has been reported that hasn't been started yet has been Sasha and Bailey, but I would imagine it's going to be started after Super Showdown. So I'm assuming that'll probably start after that.
Yeah. So and then possible another Undertaker match that's being rumored,
which supposedly he's rumored to be facing AJ Styles, which that felt a little bit random to me. I'm not saying that it's bad or anything, just kind of out of left field there, but it should be a pretty good match. I'm not really wanting that match, not really interested in that match. I mean, definitely feel that like they probably should have done Wyatt versus Taker, but I feel that they probably are doing Wyatt versus Reigns here. So, but we'll see how that goes. And Matt, another person who could be into the WrestleMania plans is in fact John Cena, because John Cena is now advertised to appear on SmackDown on the day after Super Showdown on February 28th. I'm very interested to see what they're going to do with him. There's been a few rumors out there, possibly of doing maybe John Cena versus Goldberg. I mean, like and there's been Cena versus Velveteen Dream, Cena versus Reigns, but one match, and I think this is not really been being talked a lot about, is how about John Cena versus Daniel Bryan. I feel like that, because I believe those guys have wrestled only one time, and the last time was at SummerSlam 2013, I believe. Holy smokes, that was 7 years ago.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that somehow, some way.
Yeah. But I mean,
don't know why, but
but
why it happens, but I don't care.
But the one match I don't want to see Cena in is definitely him versus Goldberg. I have no desire to see that whatsoever. They need to be using Cena in the few appearances that he's going to be at, and maximize everything that they can possibly get out of him. So whether it's Velveteen Dream, whether it's Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns, whatever, they can't be. I mean, like, unless it's like some like big time mega draw, which he doesn't have any more matches against Rock. So I would prefer it being against a like younger guy and going in that direction there. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I agree with that. Most of those matches are intriguing enough. I just kind of want to see how they get to it, what happens on SmackDown when he shows up. Same thing, how you get the Undertaker match to happen and the possible Cena match. But it's a lot of intriguing, possible fun matchups for this Mania. And it's just it's interesting.
Yeah. And we'll see how this all comes together. I cannot wait for Super Showdown to be over so that we can actually get on the road to WrestleMania here. So, all right. So we also had some rumored first names for the WWE Hall of Fame.
I thought they already announced names.
No, they haven't officially announced it yet. But according
the NWO was in.
No, that not that.
Why was Hogan on SmackDown today?
I think he was something to do with Wyatt. I'm pretty sure because I don't believe that. I could be wrong, and correct me if I am wrong. But the two names according to a Twitter account, Resovotes, who has broken many stories in the past, but the two names are Jushin Thunder Liger, who just recently retired from New Japan Pro Wrestling, and also the Bella Twins. The Bella Twins. Because I mean like I shouldn't be taking the Hall of Fame seriously, just because when you have acts such as a Drew Carey, Snoop Dogg, Coco Beware, I mean like it's just like the bar is really low. But I mean like these women, I don't think really laid a big foundation on women's wrestling. I mean, especially when you look at girls such as Gail Kim, Jazz, Sable, like just to name a few. Like to me, those girls had way more impact on the business than they did. So, you know,
Yeah,
but I mean, it's just I'm not going to really care. It's just kind of funny to me.
yeah. Batista and NWO are already in.
When was that announced, by the way?
I think like a while back. I think.
I completely forgot about that. No wonder. Oh yeah, that is right. They announced that back in like December.
Yeah, December.
Okay,
9th.
no wonder. Okay, I completely forgot about that. Okay, so yeah.
I swear.
Okay, yeah. I must have completely have forgot about that. But those should be a few good speeches there, which I cannot wait for. We'll see how the rest of the class goes. So speaking of some icons, one icon's daughter, she is starting in the family business, Matt. Simone Johnson, the daughter of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, she has officially signed with NXT. She is 18 years old, and she has been basically preparing for this for the last few years now. You know, we'll see what she has, but honestly, I don't think that Simone is going to be really appearing in anything probably for a good 2 or 3 years.
Oh yeah.
She
just signed.
At least she just signed. Like, she's going to need to get comfortable pumping, working out with her matches, with her character, participating in front of crowds. Like, it's going to be a long process for her. I hope that she can do it. Hopefully she got a lot of her father's genes, as far as that star appeal and everything. You know, we'll see how she does, but wish nothing but the best to Simone Johnson. Matt, anything to add there?
She's gonna have a lot of big shoes to
Absolutely
fill. It'd be interesting to watch her development.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, good for her. Good for her. I mean, she has a good person to train off of.
No, absolutely.
Say it at least. So yeah. See her down the road in a couple years.
All right. Yep. So getting into some AEW talk, Matt, our dreams have come true. Brandy states in an interview with the Wrestling Observer that she is no longer part of the Nightmare Collective, and that the group is essentially dead or quite essentially dead, because basically Awesome Kong, she got written off. I believe it was a week or two ago, because she's starting to film for season 4 of Glow, and also supposedly Kong's just injuries have been really piling up, so they're essentially are not going to be using her for a little bit. And also Brandy said that like she was just not really feeling a character, and she also had sensed with the crowd that they weren't feeling it either.
Yep.
And the only thing I have to say, Matt, is praise the heavens, thank God, and give major credit to these guys for realizing that this wasn't working.
The long national nightmare is over.
Yep. So very, very good there. And also, Cody did an interview, I believe, on that same day where he basically stated that they are going to be planning on doing some sort of a tour over in the UK sometime this year. Which I feel is pretty smart because eventually you do want to dip into that market there. I would assume that they'll probably air a Dynamite episode or two over there sometime this year. But
not surprising.
Yeah. So and also, Matt, I'm not sure if you saw, but supposedly. Dynamite is going back to both Boston and Philadelphia. I think it's in April. So I'm kind of hoping, hey, since they're going to there, I'm hoping that they come back in our area sooner rather than.
Oh, they're not going back to Chicago again?
No, no, yeah.
For like the 15th time,
right.
in like the last 4 months.
Yeah, like they surprisingly they haven't even gone to California yet, which
I'm shocked.
It's kind of surprising, especially.
They said, we're coming back to the East Coast, and when you didn't even finish the West Coast.
Right. I mean, supposedly, I think PW Insider might have reported this. I could be wrong about that, but I believe that supposedly they're tentatively planning on going to California in either June or July. You would assume so, but they're in Jersey next month because I believe it's the 18th show. I believe is at the Prudential Center, which that show is essentially sold out because they sold, I think, like 10,000 tickets on like day one for that show. So and I believe that's probably the date that we're probably are going to be seeing a Luke Harper debut for AEW there. So a lot of good things to be happening with this company. So we're going to get into with the ratings here. Matt, do you want to talk a little bit
real
about
quick? It seems a little closer this week with AEW 817,000 compared to NXT's 757,000 total viewers. And then the important demo of 18 and 49, AEW with a 0.3 and NXT with a 0.24, which in total viewership equals to 10th in cable for AEW and 21st for NXT.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised at exactly how close that this was, especially for how great of a show that Dynamite had this week.
I heard somewhere that like the ratings may not reflect immediately if you have a good show, because you could have a great show, but the previous show could be crap, so the ratings will be.
We have seen
low.
this a lot, and
with
Dynamite specifically because for a lot of these weeks, NXT has definitely had the better pure show, but the interest is just clearly with Dynamite right now.
This is gonna. We say that do this. It always fluctuates.
Yep. I will say though, and we're gonna get into Dynamite right now. I mean, like, this might have been Dynamite's best episode that I've seen, or easily in their top 3. Just a lot of really good build for next week's show and for their pay-per-view, which we're about 3 weeks away away from that. So Matt, we're gonna get into that, and I believe you told me that you didn't.
No, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I watched NXT.
Okay, so we're gonna get into Dynamite first, and then we'll get into NXT. So we started off the show with a recap from the previous show, and then the first thing that happened on the show, we had an AEW Tag Team Championship defense between Hangman and Kenny versus SCU. And the one thing that is consistent that I've seen every single week, Matt, Hangman is getting more and more over every single week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's completely feeling this character. I will say now, like, I was on board with them turning Hangman heel. Now, I'm not sure if you can turn him heel right now. Like, he's so over as a babyface right now. I mean, like, it might be better for them to just kind of just go with the flow right now. I mean, like, who would have told you that about 8 months ago that Hangman would be way more over than Kenny Omega? Like, it's nuts. But this was a pretty good match, a way better match from their last one, which was on Jericho's Cruise. So before the match even started, we had the Dark Order show up on the Titantron and basically saying that they are closer, that we are closer than you think, and that basically they are preparing for the Exalted One to ultimately reveal himself. Praying that it's broken Matt Hardy. Praying that it's broken Matt Hardy. If this is Christopher Daniels, and I've been saying this for the last 2 weeks now, if this is Christopher Daniels, the Dark Order is dead. It's dead. It ain't gonna work. So, and hopefully with them like constantly foreshadowing Daniels that this is just a freaking red herring. So yes, a very good match. Kenny and like Hangman retain their titles, which was the absolute right call there. The AEW tag team, the AEW tag team division right now actually matters. No offense to SCU, but it's just a whole new puzzle now with the tag team division right now. And Matt, it was also announced for next week that the Hangman and Kenny will be defending the titles again, but this time against Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix next week's show. So I mean, a lot of title defenses, but a very, AEW are starting to establish some more depth with this tag team division, but you definitely feel that the feud that they are building towards is Kenny and Hangman versus the Young Bucks. So and supposedly, actually no, there is a tag team battle royal next week. So the winner of that will face Hangman and Kenny if they beat Ray Phoenix and Pentagon Jr. At AEW Revolution, which to me that is the match, because that is the match that has the most story behind it right now. Then we had an interview between Santana and JR. Matt, this would definitely be one of the things for you to go back and see. So basically, we found out a lot more about Santana and who he actually was, and I gotta say, Santana is a pretty damn good promo here. Basically, Santana was talking about growing up, being completely broke, constantly depending on like his dad. Unfortunately, I think he went blind when he was like 25, so like that was brutal. And just this past month or two, he actually lost his dad, and like he felt that basically that his dad was robbed of his life, and that just, I mean, like you can just tell that constantly motivates him, and when Moxley stabbed him in the eye, that felt like all that much more personal to him, because from his side he was trying to blind him, and that was something that really resonates with him. So that is really a really interesting thing that they definitely threw in there. Yeah, and then we had a Darby Allin video package, which this was kind of funny here, Matt. But basically Darby Allin was throwing you know how Sammy Guevara in between commercials has his sign cards and everything.
They should burn in a fire.
Well, in this year, Darby had cardboard cutouts, and basically he was challenging Sammy to a match at AEW Revolution. So looks like we're getting him and Sammy, which that should be tremendous. But he was really selling his injury that he sustained with his throat that he and Chris Jericho did to Darby Allin. And one quote from one of the cards that I took here was it was Darby Allin asking Sammy, like, has kissing Chris Jericho's ass gave you herpes? I was like, okay then. So yeah. So moving on to a match between Sammy Guevara versus Dustin Rhodes. So match went about 8 minutes. And Dustin Rhodes, he wins. But the important thing, Matt, was after this match, Dustin Rhodes gets on the microphone and he challenges Jake Hager, and he was asking him, when is he going to finally start earning his paycheck, and basically he wants some revenge from when Hager broke his arm on the second or third week of Dynamite. So we're in that match was later made official for Revolution. So Dustin Rhodes versus Jake Hager. I'm very interested to see how Jake Hager is going to look, what type of in-ring attire. Is it going to be more like MMA based, or is it going to go how he was with the WWE? So interested to see where that goes as well. And Matt's favorite women's wrestler, Britt Baker.
I'm reading this outline you put here, and I have no idea what's happening.
Okay.
Since I have not watched this.
Yeah.
Okay, just going by what you're saying here, just sounds terrible.
You would think so, but this was actually really, really good. You kind of have to see it to know the full context.
I am Chubby Whataburger.
Yeah. So basically, Britt Baker,
health insurance, tooth was decaying.
So basically, Britt was so she had an interview with Tony Schiavone, and like honestly, this was probably the best that she has looked ever since turning heel here. But basically, Tony asked her why she did what she did. It basically Britt said that she was doing Yuka Sakazaka a favor by taking out that tooth, and she threw out a whole bunch of medical terms and stuff, and then Tony asked her what her thoughts were upcoming championship match tonight, and basically she said that it should be a really good match, and that but she said, but no matter who wins, they will always be second to me. And then the crowd just started booing her, and then like she was like excuse me, you know, what's up with you chubby Whataburger faces? And apparently Whataburger is some like sacred thing in Texas, because after that she got booed right out of the building, and it wasn't like go away heat. It was just like, that was like the biggest reaction she's ever gotten. So I was kind of shocked about that. But then this leads into the women's championship match between Riho versus Nyla Rose, and praise the heavens, Riho is no longer the AEW women's champion. And Matt, as you would expect, Riho's offense looks so awful. Like, you can't buy any sort of thing that she's doing. Like, she kicked out about 2 or 3 things that she should not have kicked out of. I'm just like floored. I was like I really liked this whole entire show, but this was the one thing that really bothered me, was the kickouts were just ridiculous. Like, and that's the one thing that I think that should have really changed it. And this went on way too long. If this was anyone but her with Riho, like this might have been a pretty decent match. But the right person won. So thank God. I have no idea what they're going to do going forward with Nyla, but she has no viable contenders right now. So.
Wow.
So that's a really big problem right now. But Matt, the only thing I can say is thank God she is that freaking Riho is no longer champion. So
if I would have saw that she would still been champion, I would have been like,
right,
Nia Rose is dead.
Yeah. So then we had an interview with the Inner Circle, where Jericho announced that if like Jon Moxley somehow gets by Santana tonight, that he will be facing a personal hitman who he sought after, and that personal hitman is Jeff Cobb. Matt, I'm not sure if you recall when we went for the MSG show in New York last year, but do you remember the match between Ospreay versus Jeff Cobb? It was the opening match.
I remember nothing.
Okay, so basically, how I would describe him, Jeff Cobb, he is a more athletic Taz, but a poor man's Kurt Angle, as far just from a strictly athletic perspective.
I have the same to remember, but I remember nothing from that show.
Okay, but like but he had a really good match with Ospreay on the show. Jeff Cobb is the real deal, but supposedly he's not really officially signed with AEW, and supposedly he's probably is just working on based on appearance, because I believe he's booked for the Ring of Honor and New Japan Supercard on WrestleMania weekend, so he could be just working on appearance right now. But nonetheless, Jeff Cobb versus Moxley next week is going to be amazing. So then we had a Cody and MJF video packages recapping their feud, going into Cody versus Wardlow still cage match night for the steel cage match next week. Then we get a match between MJF versus Jungle Boy. MJF is a freaking prick. knocked out some dude's beer at like ringside. He stepped
Jerk.
he stepped on a Dave LaGreca face there. That was hilarious. But the match itself, solid match. Nothing too special, but nothing too bad either. MJF he wins. And during the match, Brandy, she was on commentary, and Cody and MJF was just trolling her so often, and like to the point where like JR, he got really pissed off, which was kind of awkward. But MJF he wins. Solid showing from like Jungle Boy, but the big match next week, Matt, is Wardlow versus Cody inside of a steel cage. So which is essentially the last obstacle to get to Cody versus MJF at Revolution. Then we had another really good Pac interview video package. This was him just talking about how Kenny really hasn't been the same since he beat him back at All Out, where Kenny he did have his win back, but it was by, I believe that was by like roll up or some sort of crooked finish. So they're definitely adding some more to this year. Like just based on how their booking is, I kind of think that they're probably are going to have Pac win here, but that 30-minute Iron Man match is in 2 weeks, I believe, and it's on the Go Home show to Revolution, so that should be interesting. Then we get to the main event between Santana versus Moxley. We had the inner circle in the press box there. Really good match. Moxley he wins. After the match, the inner circle beat down on him, and then Jeff Cobb comes out, and they all just beat the crap out of John Moxley. So Matt, next week's Dynamite is freaking loaded. We have obviously Cody versus Wardlow for the inside of a steel cage. Moxley versus Jeff Cobb. We have a tag team championship match with Kenny and Hangman versus the Lucha Brothers, and we also have that tag team battle royal. So yeah, a solid episode of AEW Dynamite, and now we're going to talk a little bit about NXT. Matt,
so the show opens with Roderick Strong cutting a promo, coming straight down to the ring, cutting a promo on Velveteen Dream after he attacked, after the Dream attacked him the previous week and had his wife, Marina, and son on his tights. So Strong promises to hurt Dream and demands an apology. But we don't get the Dream to come out. We have Bronson Reed, who was attacked backstage the previous week as the Undisputed Era is looking for Tommaso Ciampa. So I appreciate the consistency with that. It was an attack and done. There was a reason. Oh, you attacked me. Well, I'm going to come out and wrestle you, instead of it just happens and nothing comes of it. It seems logical.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that. At the same time, I just didn't really care about the match in general, because I was like more excited about about the other story going on, and that was obviously with Roddy and the Velveteen Dream. But a solid match nonetheless. Roddy he wins with a like flying knee of some kind.
It looked good.
Yeah.
Bronson Reed came off the ropes, and Strong just got in midair, basically with a knee, knocked him out and got the win, which looked good. Bronson Reed was impressive. He was solid throughout the match. You can tell Strong was leading this match. So they did a good job there. Before the win, the lights went into like the Dream's entrance to try to distract Roderick Strong, but
this was very Undertaker-esque.
To try to distract him, but obviously, like we said, Strong got the win. So this is why I'm glad the match happened, to have this interaction. So after the match, Dream came on the screen, cut a promo, reminding Strong that they tried to end his career. They meaning Undisputed Era, and that if something ever happened to Strong, that somebody else can fill the dreams of Marina. And I think he showed a picture of Marina and the sun on his tights.
And like Roddy losing his goddamn mind, which, yeah, I mean, like that's very intriguing. And it was also announced later in the night that the Velveteen Dream and Roderick Strong would have a match on next week's episode of NXT. But definitely the best part of the night with the show was definitely the skits with Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle
Trying to get the Portland with the trophy.
Which, like, they first appeared Pete Dunne trying to freaking drive, which that was a very bad idea. He was driving on the wrong side of the road, which eventually led to their car getting towed because supposedly both guys were driving without a driver's license. So
that makes sense.
Because that makes sense.
How do they get around?
Yeah. So they had to find another way to get to Portland. So then they went onto some pedal boat or or something.
One of those paddle boats you see like at amusement park, but it was like a dove, not a dove, a goose. Mm-hmm. Not even a goose.
Yeah.
Swan.
Yeah.
Swan. That's it. Swan.
Yeah. And then
let me name some other freaking bird.
And then eventually that led to them going onto and sneaking onto Triple H's private jet, which was hilarious. So they did manage to make it into Portland. So that was really entertaining.
We think, did they land yet? We don't know.
Oh, well, let's hope so. We had a small Angel Garza interview where he was hyping up his match for the number one contendership for the cruiserweight title against Leo Rush, and basically Leo Rush interrupted him and told him that he isn't the same guy who he beat for the title.
I like this Leo Rush promo. I like how he talked.
Yep. And then we had a match between Candice LeRae versus Dakota Kai. Fun little short match here. Dakota Kai, she wins very cheaply, and then Candice, being very angry, tries to get some more of her, and basically Dakota just beats the crap out of her. This eventually leads to Tegan Knox coming out, and they brawl some more.
The crowd and security is separating them. They brawl and lead into the street fight.
Yeah, which
Sunday
is going to be a freaking war. Then we had a match between Johnny Gargano versus Cameron Grimes.
This was an impressive match in my opinion.
It was. I didn't really care, and that's. I mean, just from a strictly, without the story, but just strictly match quality, very, very impressive match, and this went on, I think, for a good 15 or 20 minutes here. So they definitely gave these two guys some time. Johnny wins, and now we get Johnny Gargano versus Finn Balor. That might be match of the night, and that's saying something for this card coming up for TakeOver. Then we had an Adam Cole interview, hyping up his match against Kushida tonight and talking about his impending title defense against Ciampa. And you also saw in the background a very frustrated Roderick Strong. So you're just seeing more and more tension in the undisputed era. You really do feel that they're probably are going to be taking all of those titles off of them. If not by this takeover, then definitely by the takeover in Tampa.
Yeah.
So.
And then a little short promo between Robert Stone and Chelsea Green.
I'm hoping that there's some direction with this, because I'm
sure there is.
Yeah, I sure hope so. So yeah, as I said, Velveteen Dream and Roderick Strong announced for NXT next week. Now we get Lio Rush versus Angel Garza for the number one contenders ship for the Cruiserweight title against Jordan Devlin. Really good match. Not as good as what their title match was, but still a really good match, Matt.
It's still great.
Yep.
Still great.
Yep. And surprisingly, Lio Rush wins here.
I'm not surprised.
I mean, yeah, because it's pretty clear Angel Garza is going to be on Raw consistently, so you figure that they're could slowly phase him out of NXT here, but yeah. So now, and this was also made official for next week, Lio Rush versus Jordan Devlin for the Cruiserweight title. That's going to be amazing. I cannot wait for that as well. And then we had a video package with a Mark Henry.
This was excellent.
Yep. And kind of the perfect guy to hype this up to. Are you still having issues over there with your stand again? Damn it. All right, so
one more thing I gotta add.
So yeah, so a very good hype video where Mark Henry was just laying out both of these guys' credentials and their history. Perfectly builds up to Keith Lee and Dominic Dijakovic's title match in Portland.
If this promo didn't want to make you run through a wall for this match, then you have no soul.
Mm-hmm. All right, so then we get Bianca Belair versus Santana Garrett. Short little match. Bianca wins. Then eventually Rhea Ripley comes down. They talk a bit. Eventually ends in a brawl, and Bianca lays out Rhea Ripley. So
gotta make Bianca look strong going into Sunday.
Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that this is not as predictable as it's going to be, but it looks like it's probably is going to be that. But
what do you mean?
That basically Rhea's going to win, and that's going to be that.
Well, yeah. I mean,
but yeah.
Why?
But,
why is that bad?
Why? I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just hoping that they don't make it as predictable of the actual finish, and just her just beating her right in the middle, and that's it. So,
I doubt there's going to be moments when you think Bianca's going to win, just to put that doubt at maybe it's not going to be Charlotte and Rhea because they've been teasing that. But Rhea's going to win.
She kind of has to now. So
Rhea's gonna win.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're gonna make it looks like maybe Bianca's a shot, but Rhea's gonna win and set up the match with Charlotte. There you go.
Yep. So in the main event, Adam Cole versus Kushida. So yep, pretty solid match. Nothing to really add here. Eventually, Ciampa comes down to confront Cole. They have a stare down, and that's how NXT goes off the air with Ciampa and Cole staring at the title. Will Ciampa finally get Goldie back after essentially almost a full calendar year? So the NXT Portland card is set, and unless I'm wrong here, Matt, I think there's like 6 matches on this card. Am I reading that right?
I think you're right.
Yeah, because when I was typing up our preview, I was like, oh my god, there's 6 matches. I can't recall NXT ever having 6 matches on a takeover. So that's definitely something new. But I mean, from top to bottom, this is arguably could be NXT's best takeover card, which is saying something. I mean, like, I still have NXT take over New York. They show how we went to last year as probably the best takeover that they've ever done. But just strictly from a match perspective, like these could all be show stealers here. Like, I mean, like, you go from the street fight to Finn versus Johnny to the tag title. It's just, I mean, like, there is not a freaking weak link here. But as far as the predictions, Matt, I guess we'll go through. We'll talk about the street fight. I honestly don't know who's gonna win here. I could honestly see either girl going over here. I'm going to.
Who won? Because they had a match. Who won before?
Basically, Tegan Knox won, but basically she beat Dakota when the ref's back was turned with the knee brace. So I want to say that they're probably leaning towards Dakota going over here. I could be wrong, but I honestly don't know who is going to win this. So yeah, I mean, it's a coin flip here.
It is a coin flip.
But it's a coin flip, but it's going to be a freaking war. Should be a really good match. Finn Balor versus Johnny Gargano. Like I said in the NXT review, this could be a show stealer match of the night. Definitely.
I feel sorry for who has to follow this.
Yes. And I definitely think they probably are having Finn win here. You gotta think that they're probably setting up him versus Ciampa, because I do believe that Ciampa is going to be the new NXT champion after Sunday. So you gotta think that's probably the next feud for Finn. So I'm going to go with Finn Balor beating Johnny Gargano for the NXT, or I'm going with some Finn Balor over Johnny. How do you feel, Matt?
This one can almost go either way, because if you go with Johnny coming back after Finn Balor took him out and get that victory, but at the same time you can build Balor up, like you said, for the NXT championship. Because I feel like Gargano can lose and it won't hurt him as much.
Finn, to me, he needs to win here. So
yeah, I'll go with Finn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then we have the NXT Tag Team Championships between the Undisputed Era versus the Broserweights. I will be shocked if the Broserweights do not win the tag titles here. Just the amount of time, the amount of video packages, the amount of skits that they've done with these guys, like, it doesn't make you think that them coming together was and winning the Dusty Cup was a fluky thing. They really don't have any direction with the Undisputed Era as far as past this. It, like, the ultimate story within this is the destruction of the Undisputed Era and them losing all of their championships. And we already saw that when Keith Lee beat Roderick Strong for his North American Championship. So I fully expect that to continue here, and I'm definitely going with Broserweights.
Too much momentum with Broserweights. Can't crush it.
No.
And we move on to the NXT Women's Championship. We pretty much talked about it before.
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. Rhea's going to go over. She's being strapped to the rocket and pushed to the moon.
Yeah.
Move on to the North American Championship. Keith Lee versus Dominik Dijakovic. I believe this is almost a similar situation. Keith Lee is, I think, is pushed too.
Yeah.
This is going to be another just hard hitting, like, holy crap, two big men going at it, moving like cruiserweights.
Keith Lee's going to win here.
Keith Lee's going to win.
Yeah.
And the NXT Championship, you got Adam Cole versus Tommaso Ciampa. I believe finally Cole loses the championship to Ciampa.
Yeah,
I think you just have that. It's time. Yeah, like you said, it's time.
It's time.
And I don't think we had talked about it before, but Ciampa had that backstage promo. Him watching the clip of him giving up the title when he was injured, and just going at the passionate promo. Like, it was a hell of a promo. Go back and watch that. Go back and watch that if you haven't. That was excellent. It was well done. So I'm going with Ciampa, like John is.
Yep. So, that was our NXT preview, and Matt is going to finish this podcast off with the funny moment of the week.
Yes. So, as of this recording, except right now because it's 12:20 in the morning, it was everybody's favorite holiday, Valentine's Day. And what do you do when you don't have a date, John?
Cry and wallow in sorrow.
That's why the seat was wet. Why? No. You offer this guy in Kansas. You offer a $25,000 reward for anyone that's able to set him up on a date, and it leads to the lady becoming his girlfriend.
Hopefully, it ends better than Otis and Mandy Rose.
No, don't talk to him. That's sad. Dolph Ziggler's a jerk. So Jeff Gebhardt, he's 47 of Prairie Village in Kansas. He came up with his unusual dating scheme after some attempts of online dating and his last breakup. Let me scroll down here. Quote, I saw the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results. So he couldn't go back to online dating. He told the local news station WDAF. So he got some of his friends to create a website. And it's a real website. I checked it out. It's datejeffg.com. And it pretty much is everything about him. And you can see it for yourself. And this website attempts to survey, use personality analytics to find a compatible date. So the people who suggest women for Gebhardt could win $25,000 if he ends up in a relationship. But women who suggest themselves are not eligible to win the money, but they will be considered for the dates. So, when online dating is not yours, put up $25,000. Oh, and another site says he $25,000 to the matchmaker and an additional $25,000 to a no-kill dog shelter. So there is some charity in this. So again, when all else fails, put up $25,000. I don't have $25,000, but put up.
I don't even have a quarter of.
So if anybody out there wants to help me for free, or for like $5, there you go. So that is a funny story of the week.
And that's going to cap off this podcast. So, before we say our goodbyes, guys, be sure to tune in to our reaction show to NXT Takeover Portland. We will give you our thoughts on the show as it goes off the air. And as always, remember to comment, subscribe, like the video, follow our Twitter page, which Matt will have that linked in the description box. And for Matt, for John, and we all hope that you have a very nice weekend, and we shall see you Sunday night. Have a good night.